Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now, for all yous that have been long awaiting some breeding videos, we've got an absolutely corker of a one today. And that is our King Baboon. Now, you would have remembered we'd done the rehouse of her into this enclosure. So she's now in, she's fully sorted herself out. She's got a lovely burrow, runs down here. And it runs all the way through here. And she's down in the back here. Now, our male has been pacing around, so he's been up and ready. So we thought it was about time we put them in and see what happens. So, come join me. Have a look at this little bit of video. It's not a particularly long one, but it is really awesome, I think. Lovely bit of video. Right, see you in a moment. Well, this is our male King Baboon. We're just gently putting him into the enclosure. And as we've said before, it's very, very important that we introduce our males softly. They need to go in nice and gently. There's always a fear, especially with fossorial spiders like the King Baboon, that if we panic him as he comes out of his box into the female's enclosure, there's always that fear that he will charge straight down the burrow, trying to escape what he thinks is attacking him in the box. And that could in fact mean that he runs headfirst into our female, and that could be the end of him. So it's very, very important that we have a very slow and gentle introduction. Now you'll see there that he's literally just relaxed. He's just settled down. So he was holding himself up, and now he's literally just relaxed and he's laying almost flat to the floor. Now it took a good while for our male to actually start to do anything. He was very, very slow. You can see there that there's just a slight bit of movement there in his abdomen, but nothing else. And he's not far away from the entrance to her burrow, and you can see the web there in the front of the picture. So you would imagine that he would be picking up pheromones and what have you from this web. You can see there that he's just moving, very, very tentative. Now he sat like this for around about half an hour, not really doing anything at all. But we were patient, we left him, and then he just starts to move now. And you can see there's no conviction in him at the moment. He's not really thinking of doing much, but it does give us the opportunity to have a really good look at him. They really are quite a handsome spider. The females especially. They are absolutely gorgeous. Their colouring, their build, the whole thing about them. They just scream fancy spider. There we go. Now these are the first indications that our male is actually preparing to breed. He's getting ready for the introduction. Like I say, this probably took about half an hour, 45 minutes before we got to this stage. And you can see there that he's right at the entrance to our burrow in the bottom right hand corner. Now you notice we've had no tapping or anything. It's literally been vibration so far. Everything he's done has been vibration based. Now we can clearly see there with the build of our male spider, he is in fact almost like any other tarantula really. He's very lightly built, and you'll notice this with many of the pairing videos that most of the males are very lightly built. Even with the thick set spiders like the King Baboon, the female, as you will see soon when she comes out, she's a very heavy spider. He is very, very light. Now this enables him to get around, have a quick escape. He doesn't need to be heavy set like she is. And you can see there, he's got very thin legs, lovely colouring. I like the creamy bands on each segment of the leg there. Very smart. Now again, a long amount of time has been passed with our male just sitting there, not really doing anything. And these are the things when you're breeding your spiders, you've got to be a little bit patient, give them that little bit of time to try and do things. And every now and again, we have to sort of wake them up and just let them know, remind them of what it is they're actually at. Now he'd been sat there for, I don't know, another 40 minutes or so. So we've been on this for a little while now. And as you can see now, we're bringing the paintbrush in right in there, the top left hand corner. And we are just tickling his toe. We just want him just to wake up, because he's almost gone to sleep. There we go. Now we've woken him up. We've basically changed his stance. Now what happens is, sometimes our males can go in and then they can literally, it's like they've fallen asleep. I'm not sure what it is that they do, but it's like they completely fall asleep. And they can sit like that for hours at a time with absolutely nothing. Now obviously we haven't really got time to do that, and we want to try and get our spiders on, get them sorted out. So it's a real mix of how patient we are, or do we actually make a move and try and get them to do anything. But the important thing is, we only want to wake him up. We don't want to spook him, because he's in a dangerous position. If we spook him and he runs straight down that burrow, it's probably not going to end well. So we have to be very, very careful how we go about waking him up. And this is only something that you will get over time, when you learn how your spider reacts to different things and the best ways in which to initiate that alarm call for him. Now he's moved now, he's almost at the entrance. I mean, he's practically hanging over the entrance of the burrow now. And this is where here he goes. Now look, you see, we're starting to get a little bit of excitement now. This is what we've spent the last 2.5 hours waiting for. It does appear to be a slow courtship with these guys. The introduction seems very, very slow. We need to pair a few more of these to fully understand. It might just be that on this particular occasion, things were slow. Maybe next time, he might just go rushing in and pair straight away. So many things to consider. Now, one of the problems we had with filming this was reflections, and as you can see there, it's very difficult. We tried different lighting and different bits and pieces to try and get some of the reflections out of the way. It was a very difficult one to actually film, this one, for some reason. Now you can see there that he is clearly hanging in the entrance to the burrow. And interestingly enough as well, is the actual burrow is quite clear of web. There's a little bit of web on the outside there, running up the sides of the soil there, but she hasn't webbed herself in. Now quite often they actually put a fair bit of webbing over the entrance, and this is just like a security net, if you like, and they will break this down each night when they venture out to hunt and get a drink or whatever. You can see our female down there. Luckily she actually burrowed right at the front of the enclosure, so we can see what she's up to. And you can see there that she is a big spider. Very, very big compared to him. Very heavy set. Now we're in this sort of stalemate. She's not shown any indication that she even knows he's there. I'm sure she does. I'm pretty sure that he knows she's there. Now, this is the point where sometimes patience can get the better of us. And we really want to urge them on. We're so close, here he goes. But it's important at this stage we allow them to take their time, do their own thing. Now you see there, we've still had no leg tapping or anything, purely vibration based, this courtship. Again, we need to do more of these to find out if this is the norm. Oh, here we go. Look, now we're getting a little bit of tapping. Yeah, here she goes. Here she responds. You see, for a big spider, how they turn around in such a tiny, tiny little gap. Incredible. Look at those thick legs. You see the shape of the back legs? True burrowing spider, that. Oh, look at that. Here she comes. She is an absolute monster in comparison. Very powerful spiders, the King Baboons. And those back legs, you can now see the shape of those back legs. They're designed for burrowing, kicking soil out. These guys will actually burrow really deep in the wild. And they do this for many reasons, mainly because of the elements. They don't need to burrow quite so deep in captivity. Now you can see our male there. You can see that he's got his front legs. He's actually pushed her pedipalps up. You can just see the two toes of his front legs between her legs. Now he's pushed her up, and you can see his pedipalps underneath. But we can't quite tell whether he's inseminating. It looks like one pedipalp was inseminating there. So they swap them over. They take them in turns. Now she came out very, very gently. No aggression whatsoever. He's backing off. A bit of repositioning now. Now we're going back in, and you can see there whether we've changed direction now. We've gone to the iPhone now, and we're looking from above to see if we can get a little bit of a better angle. And you can clearly see how he's got his front legs holding her pedipalps up, and the first pair of legs. You see how he's holding them up with his second pair of legs. Very interesting how they hold them up. But should she want to overpower him, it would be no problem at all for her. As you can see, she is such a big, strong spider in comparison. He's not intimidated by her at all, though. Look at this. You notice also as well how his back legs are stretched out. He's looking for leverage all the time. He will use those back legs to spring out of any kind of danger. Whoa, oh, here we go. And it was as quick as that. There you go. At this point, it's important that we just leave them be. Let them settle down. Let them have a moment. Now we'll go back and we'll see that again. And we can see it now from the camera angle from the side. And you can see there he is leaning right under. And it looks to be a very good position for him. Whoa, and there we go. Now if you watch this back, you can watch it frame by frame, and you will see that it looked like he inseminated. I did try and slow this down, but it didn't work out very well. So I suggest you guys, when you watch it, you slow it down yourselves, and you will see frame by frame. It's incredible how he springs out of harm's way. Now we just leave them be now for a moment and just allow them that few seconds to calm down. If you was to intervene now and try and move your male spider, he's well fired up, and there's a good chance that he will sprint across the enclosure and maybe just sprint straight into her and she will grab him. So it's important we allow her to go back home. She is gorgeous, look at that. We allow her to go back home, settle down, and this will give us the opportunity to deal with our male, where we can catch him up without fear of upsetting our female. She's gone back to bed. We will try this again, give them another opportunity to pair, and see what happens. What a lovely spider to actually achieve, to breed. It will be a wonderful achievement. And there's our male, safe and sound, ready for another day. Always important that we put as much effort into saving our males as we do into breeding. We must save our males at all costs, and there's no reason why we should lose many of them. You know, we save the vast majority of our males. You can see now we're using the lid of the Braplast tub to lift him up the glass. We'll tip him over the edge straight into his pot, and that'll be him done. Well done, lad. Well, what did you think? Now, I've got to be honest, that male was very, very slow. It took a long, long time. And there was a couple of times there we had to literally wake him up because he seemed like he was asleep. And you'd have seen in the video there, you'd have seen us with a paintbrush just tickling his feet because they seem to get to a point where they go into like a trance and then it's like they switch off, they shut down. And sometimes if left to this, they will stay like that for hours. Absolutely hours. So you have to choose your times. You've got to be a bit careful. And the last thing we want to do is touch him and then get him spooked where he runs straight down into her burrow, because the chances are he's going to get nailed if that is to happen. So we have to be very, very careful how we go about it. Now, you would have seen once he actually got his feet over the edge of the burrow, then things started heating up a little bit and it all became really apparent what was going to go on. And then you see her, it was brilliant to actually be able to see her in the front of the picture as well, with him up the top, her alongside the glass. And then you see how she turned around. That is such a small gap for a big spider, but it just shows how easily they turn around inside them burrows. Incredible. She almost folded in half. And then she came up and you see what a Goliath of a spider she is in comparison to that little male. Such a big, big spider. Now, we saw lots of anatomical differences with these spiders. You would have seen there the female, her rear legs. You saw the way they're shaped. They almost look deformed. This is so that she can burrow. She kicks soil out with those. And then what they do is they turn around and they pick it all up with the front legs and their fangs and they carry it out. So it's a really cool adaptation to these burrowing spiders. Now, you don't see that with all fossorial spiders. It's only the real hardcore fossorial spiders. Things like these king baboons. The stout-legged baboon is another one. Very big, thick back legs. Just perfect for the job in hand. Now, you saw our male. He's a fraction of the size. He's a really lightly built job. Now, before he has his ultimate molt into a mature male, he does look very similar to a female. So they look almost the same. And when you've got them as youngsters, as juvies, it's very difficult without sexing them from a molt. I don't believe you can actually visually sex them. I've had them here before now, and I think to myself, oh, that's going to be a cracking female, looking really big and stocky, just for it to molt out into a male. So I don't think when they're juvies, there's any way of really telling them apart. You desperately need that molt. Once you've got that molt, you can then work on your strategy going forward. Whether it's going to be a male, you need to slow him down because your females are a bit behind or whatever. But it's most important, breeding-wise, that we know our males when they're in juvie stage, because then we can plan when we want them to mature. Almost. You know, we can almost work it out and get them within a rough sort of like month or so. We can get them to mature at the right time. So it's very, very important. But no, hopefully, I mean, we saw that was absolutely blinding job. And the insemination was very, very quick. If you look back I did in fact try slowing it down on the video to do it in slow motion, but the app that I use on the video doesn't slow it enough. So I think we need to change our app in what we actually use to produce our videos. But you can do it yourselves and go frame by frame, and you will see that he is actually, you'll see his pedipalp is pushed right out and he firmly inseminates, and then his back end is lifted off the floor already. It's on its way out. He's leaving. And you see him, he's got his arm stretched out like that. It's the perfect insemination. And you saw just how quick he had to get out. Otherwise she would have had him. So for a big spider, she moves very, very quick. I was very, very impressed with that pairing. Really pleased. And so glad they came outside. I thought they might have done it all down in the tunnel. We wouldn't have got to see it. I think it was beautiful to see them outside. Absolutely lovely. Now we will try him again. And we have got a couple of very, very large juvie females that I think we might try them as well. There's a little bit of me says they might be a little bit too young, but then there's another part of me says I think we should give them a go, because I think there's a lot to be learned with the age of our spiders and when they are actually able to reproduce. I've got a feeling, I've got a real strong inclination to think that it's often earlier than we first think. So we're going to give them a try. As long as he's up and willing, we'll give him a go. But he will try another one in here first. We will try a second time. Always best to get 2 attempts. And then we'll see what happens. Then it's just going to be a case of, hopefully, fingers crossed, she drops a sack. How we get her to do that, we're not 100% sure. So it's going to be a little bit of mucking around, trial and error, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, contact a few other people that have managed to breed them in the past. They're not something that's bred very often. So there's not a huge amount of information out there. And not everyone is willing to share. So we might just have to do it on our own, which is often the case. But never mind, we will get there in the end. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. We have got plenty more coming. We're slowly getting back onto the breeding size. As you know, what with the move and everything, we've been out of the breeding loop for the best part of this year. We've hardly done any pairings or anything at all. We are only just getting back into it. And this is the bit that makes us buzz. This is the bit that we enjoy the most. So we're getting there slowly, but it's all happening. Right then, plenty to look forward to. And then don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.